Is FC25 just another yearly update, or has EA finally made the game we've been waiting for? Let's kick things off and dive into what's changed, what stayed the same, and whether this game is worth your time and money.
Matchup football fans are sure to relish. Which side will step up and deliver? It's all coming up next.
At first glance, it might seem like just another year with minor updates. The gameplay on the pitch looks very similar to last year's version, and honestly, it feels the same too. That's kind of expected since sports games usually make subtle changes year to year. However, if you're looking for a completely different experience, you might not find it here right away. But the first big change you'll notice is in the presentation and organization of the game. EA has gone full tactical this time. Gone are the days of just playing in basic positions like defense or midfield. Now, we have roles like inverted wingbacks, ball-playing centre-backs, wide forwards, shadow strikers, and roaming playmakers. It's like they took a page from a football manager's playbook. This shift puts a lot of focus on tactics, and it's all under a system EA calls FCIQ. This tactical emphasis means choosing your formation and lineup could take a bit longer, but it also means you get more control over how your players behave on the pitch. For instance, using players like Foden and Doku in the same spot, but giving them different roles shows a noticeable difference in their movements. It adds depth to modes like career mode, but might make things a bit more complicated if you just want to jump into a game with friends or play online. Each player's strengths in these new roles are based on real-world data from the past 2 seasons, thanks to Opta analysis. That sounds cool, but it's a bit unclear how this will work for lesser-known players. There's also some confusion about the numbers EA is using. For example, Bellingham is shown with a low percentage suitability as a shadow striker, which seems off. He does have a role ++ for this position, which is supposed to be reserved for top-tier stars. So maybe the numbers aren't final yet. Every player now has a role +, indicating where they excel, and ++ is for the absolute best. In terms of presentation, the game looks more modern. They've moved away from the old colored dots to more detailed panels, which seems inspired by Ultimate Team's style. Player information now highlights playstyles more prominently instead of just showing a long list of stats. During matches, you'll even get tactical suggestions mid-game, which is pretty neat. There are also new playstyles for goalkeepers, professional fouls, and weather effects that impact the game, like wind-affecting corner kicks. These aren't game-changing on their own, but add a layer of depth to the experience. Speaking of visuals, there are some nice tweaks to how the game is presented. You'll notice changes in mascots, manager reactions, and crowd dynamics, along with more dynamic camera angles during matches. For the first time, there's also a performance versus resolution graphics mode, letting you choose between smoother gameplay or better visuals. Longer match intros give you the option to see more of the stadium atmosphere, or you can skip them if you're in a hurry. One cool new addition is the POV camera on replays. Scoring a goal and then watching it from the perspective of the player, like Haaland or De Bruyne, is pretty awesome. Plus, if you celebrate near a mascot in the crowd, there's an interactive celebration scene. Small stuff like this doesn't change the gameplay, but it does make the game feel a bit more personal and fun. The pre-match intros also add to the immersion, showing the camera panning around the stadium, capturing merch stalls and behind-the-scenes areas before moving to the pitch. Goalkeepers feel more realistic this time around. Their reactions are more authentic, which means you'll see more varied deflections and saves. It makes the game feel less predictable. In previous versions, you always had certain sweet spots on the pitch where you could score easily. That's still somewhat true, but now there's more unpredictability, creating new opportunities and making every match feel different. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out over a full season. The big new mode in FC25 is Rush, a 5 versus 5 mode with its own rules. The pitches are smaller, but not too cramped, giving you more room to control the ball. It's faster paced, but not overly chaotic like Volta. Rush introduces some fun elements, like blue cards where players are sidelined for a minute after committing a foul, and a kickoff that launches the ball between both teams. The game isn't split into halves, which keeps the action going. Rush is also integrated into career mode, Ultimate Team, and clubs, so it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes things up. Now, let's talk about career mode. Women's teams have finally been added, which is a huge and much-needed change. This expands the game's options significantly. There's also more depth in the Youth Academy system, where you can focus on developing a team philosophy instead of just chasing stats. Transfers can be customized with embargoes or done automatically if you want to skip negotiations. For player career, you can set up the start of your career to be like a mini version of the journey, and there's a new in-game social media feed, though how impactful it'll be is up in the air. Another cool feature is that you can pick up career mode halfway through a season. You can take over from a sacked manager or jump in following a player's transfer. Plus, there are live updates reflecting real-world events in the leagues. You can also take icons through their careers, which is a nod to the features from previous World Cup games where you could recreate classic moments. It's getting closer to something truly immersive. So, is FC25 worth playing? If you're a die-hard fan looking for fresh tactical depth and enjoy the additions like Rush and more detailed career mode, it's definitely worth checking out. But if you're hoping for a game that feels completely different from last year, you might be a bit disappointed. The game builds on what was already there, adding layers rather than reinventing itself. For some, that's enough. For others, it might feel like more of the same. Thanks for watching, and if this review helped, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more gaming content.